Good morning. In our time and counting, it's March 15th, 2024. Let's begin this day with a real tribute to your center. Experience is not what happens to a man, it's what a man does with that experience of what happens to him. And that's Aldous Huxley. Pretty solid quote, which feeds right into, in the illusion, you must convert what you must that's in front of you. You must be the observer. That's how you convert it. You convert everything with love because love is the greatest converter. Love converted you from spirit to mass and will convert you again from mass back to spirit. And then you get a life review and you're looking at what you did down here. And did you get the secret? The secret is why everyone is disconnected. And the reason everyone is disconnected, it's the cardinal sin. Disconnection is the cardinal sin. And how does that happen? By putting the illusion first and not spirit first. That's what happens. So this is very, very interesting as to what goes on here on this planet. You must realize that you must convert what you must. You must convert what you must. Because this is required in order for you to creatively manifest in increasingly shorter periods of time. I mean, what's your problem if you can create? What is the problem? Right. You must not be owned by your creations in the illusion. Don't be owned by any person, place, thing, time, event. No, don't do that. Realize that you're taking a test. And the best way to pass the test is to take the test. That's right. Because if you take the test, if you don't take the test, I should say, it just keeps reappearing. It just keeps reappearing because it's the oversoul telling you. It's the divine telling you, don't be owned by this. What are you learning from it? What do you need to rise above here? Come back to your center. Create from here. Create from here. So hence, you must increasingly be the observer. Why? Well, because God is the ultimate observer. And if you're going to align yourself with God, you need to be in harmony with that. When they asked that very famous master, Krishnamurti, how did you become a master? He said, I never minded what happened to me. Could you imagine? Being neutral on everything. Because really everything is neutral. It's the spin that you put on it. Right. So, you must increasingly practice by being the observer every day and in every way. You have to transform. You have to transform. You don't just change your mind because change is temporary. Transformation is permanent. Transformation is the cocoon to the butterfly. There's no reversing it. What if I told you this is actually what you came to Earth for? Is to transform. Right. And how you do this is you must create true freedom. How do you get to create true freedom? You can't be bothered by what's happening to you because it's not happening to you. It's not, no matter what it is. It's happening for you. You know, time is short now, if you haven't noticed. It's very intense. So you must take advantage of that. If time is short now, you should be able to create what it is that you want. So don't look at time is short being a distinct disadvantage. No. Time is short now, and it can be the wind to your back if you look at it properly. It's time to definitely take advantage of this. You know, it's why you came to the planet at this time. So it's time now to get down to the nitty-gritty to manifest, because we all manifest, either consciously or unconsciously, but we all manifest. We do. And so it's up to you to realize, if you're going to manifest, why not manifest consciously? And you know what? If I gave you 3 wishes, what would those wishes be? Most people would say money, health, relationships. And I would say, you only need 1 wish, and that's to be the genie. You can be the genie if you choose to manifest your ability to create. But most people are too busy because they're blocked, looking at what's wrong, looking at what they need in the illusion. And that's where amnesia sets in as to your divine knowledge of really who you are. The whole planet is suffering from this currently. The planet currently is in chaos. And that's what happens when things are about to get recalibrated. Look at your life. Every time you got to chaos, it's about recalibration. That's what it is. And if you're going to recalibrate from where you're at right now, this needs to happen. You need to recalibrate. This is your life. Life is a series of recalibrations, you know. So, how do you spin your energy properly around your body to arise above it all? Not just survive, but rise above it all. You know, in the days to come, spiritual teachers will be required to serve. But in order to serve, you must get past your past. Those who don't get past their past, they pass. Right. So this lifetime, this life has to be important enough so that you hunker down while the opportunity is yours, right here, right now, to become awake. You wake up. Most of the world right now is asleep. In fact, some are so asleep we call them the walking dead. They just don't know they're dead. So, will this change your life? It can. It can. You must have a toolkit of what's important. What's in your toolkit? First thing is nature. If you get out in nature for a sustained period of time amongst the trees, preferably, you'll see there's a certain energy that comes into you. Next thing is, you must realize that too much man-made stuff gets in this aperture of the eye called the iris. It's just the pupil. Too much man-made stuff gets in there. Can you get up early in the morning, ideally around 4:30? Can you go out, sit by the park? I'm fortunate because I live on the verge of this 500,000 acre park. Sit by the river, look at non-man-made stuff. The sky, the stars, the moon, the trees, the river, the weeds, the snow. Look at that stuff, and your sanity will start to return. If that doesn't turn you on, good luck. And it may not turn you on optimally, but there's enough that keeps you going back where it's not an inconvenience. I mean, life is hard, you know, until it isn't. Getting up early is hard until it isn't. And after a while, you're realizing, no, I'm going to put spirit first. I'm not going to put the illusion first. Just wake up and run the to-do program, you know, that's what most people do. They, as soon as they wake up, their eyes open, they're running the to-do program. They go to the washroom, use the toilet, perhaps get in the shower, next sequence, and the to-do list starts to run. Do. I say we're living in a world of do. Ironic as that may sound. And if that doesn't do it for you, when you realize that you're just on the to-do list from the second you wake up, you need reprogramming. Well, what do you do that? Well, you got to break the cycle. Well, how do you break the cycle? Well, you get up, say good morning, God. And that's what I say. Captain Zayla reporting for duty, sir. How can I make the world a better place? Next thing I know, I'm out the door, and I'm down there. And I say good morning, deep bow to my God and all the divine team. This is how you get aligned with truth, with peace. Peace and truth, they're bedfellows. And if you don't understand this, here's your truth to get free. If you don't understand this, the more you'll get squeezed to get free of what's holding you back from being aligned with the true you. You must be in the present future, not the present past. The future belongs to those who live intensely in the present, actually. That's right. But how much time do you spend actually getting up and being inconvenienced and putting spirit first before the illusion starts? Can you do it consistently for weeks, months, years, decades? The deeper you do this, the more you're connected, the more reserve you have, the more patience you have, the more love you have, the more connect you have. Because remember, the number one sin of humanity: disconnection, separation. You get reconnected, and you'll see things can start to happen for you in a better way. But you got to get clear of your past. How do you get clear of your past? Go to nature. Understand that you're connecting. You're going to become bigger than your past. And for a lot of people, they must get past their past, especially the childhood traumas. Everybody's got childhood traumas, you know. The past must be risen above. You must see it, face it, and see it as being purposeful. You need to get past your past. You know, the past is kept at the higher price of losing your divine connection. If you lose that, you lose your dreams. You dream of becoming the genie, of being able to create. You know why? You know why you lose it? You don't have any room for it. There's no room. This is so sad when you understand that. So if you're going to do this, you got to get up early. You got to do what you're going to do. You're going to rewrite your agreement with reality. That's really what you're going to do. I mean, how can the soul go on to a new adventure through divine access when the human has it anchored in the past? By reasserting the emotions, you're upset about the past, or you're upset about the now. How can you go on to a new adventure? There's no room. And you know what happens is, you put yourself in a hideous jail that has no bars. Those bars, though, they've been installed by you. This teaching, this is your get out of jail card. If you're hearing this, this is for you. Pay attention. Pay attention. Review your notes. Review this teaching. And say, this is what I came for. I know this in my heart of hearts. If you get it, this teaching will be epic for you. But you must abide by this understanding, not just the knowledge here of it. You got to abide by it. In other words, you got to live it. You got to take the time to imagine things as you want them and not as they are. And you'll be guided to your goals and dreams by a power much greater than you. But you got to take the time. You got to take the time. You don't want to take the time to imagine? You're a fool. You know, it's just like me finding you in your Cro-Magnon, and I say, see that vehicle over there? Here's the keys to it. And then I explain how this key works in that door and in that ignition, and it's all filled up, and here, you can travel. And you go, wow, I never thought this was possible. So what's holding you back from creating the life that you want? You want to know? You want to know? You are. You got to get out of your own way. The old you was the illusion as a priority. You have to get out of your own way. And the anxiety you feel is exactly what I'm telling you about here, because you know this. It's a funny thing about the truth, you know, when you finally get the truth. You know what? It needs very little explanation. You just know, yeah. What have I been thinking? Well, you can't overcome your material human by constantly and consistently doing the inner work, what I call the inner work. You got to get past your past. How do you do that? With presence, sustained presence. When you're in nature, you're in presence because you're looking at the sky and I always think, I wonder how far my eyes can see. Because if I can see that star, if I move over to the left or the right, I wonder how far I actually see into space. Right. Anyways, the point of doing that is I'm not thinking about people, places, things, times, events. I'm thinking about the star. I'm thinking about the sky. I'm thinking about forever. You know, it's like eternity and infinity. Eternity has to do with time. Or should I say, no time. Infinity has to do with space, going on and on and on and on. So you need to contemplate eternity and infinity. Most people don't. They're too head down, bum up, thinking about what's wrong. And what's your problem if you could create? Think about that. What would be your problem if you could create? What? You'd have something that would probably be the Garden of Eden, you know? Really think about it. What's your problem if you could create? Why did we lose track of that? And we've lost track of it seriously. We have. We just head down, bum up, looking about, caring about anything but the divine. Well, if you really want to get into this, I write about this in my first book. It's about practicing the S treatment, and that is sitting still, silently, at sunrise or sunset. Now you could do each one of these separately, but if you combine them, sitting still, silently, sunrise and sunset, there'll be a shift in priorities if you keep this up. This teaching, this is the time in your life, right here, where you wake up. It's a return to love and peace. You know, Jesus was known as the Prince of Peace. Why? Well, if you have peace, you can create. But a lot of people don't like peace. They want to feel. So they create dramas and traumas because that's how they feel alive. The people in your life, maybe that's how they feel alive. It's because they need the dramas and the traumas. Yeah. And after a while, they're hooked on that feeling. They don't like peace. They'll do disturbing things because they're hooked on the telephone, the TV. They're hooked on dramas and traumas. You can rise above all that. This can be your life, you know. This could be the life that you came for. This is the time where the true meaning of a six-pointed star comes into mind, you know. You take two pyramids, one on top of each other, and then touching right at the peak. One's upside down. And the top one perforates the lower one. What if I told you the top one is the divine and the lower one is your human? But if you understand this teaching, the top pyramid perforates all the way down and you have a six-pointed star. The top one represents the divine, so it's bringing heaven to earth. It would be heaven on earth here if you could just manifest right out of the blue, which is love. Could you imagine having a gold coin? There's no serial numbers on it. And you just manifest. And you go wherever you want. And whenever you want something and you need to have commerce for it, you just create gold coins. Accepted in every land, you know. Could you imagine? Right out of the blue. It's what you came here to do. Remember, we all create either consciously or unconsciously. No, this is the time where you want to actualize your divine more than your additional morning sleep, more than your morning coffee, more than your social life, more than your business engagements, more than your texts, more than your emails. This is the time of your divine, right here, right now, to come into full blossom. The upper four chakras, the upper four seals, courtesy of the six-point star. You can either be the son or daughter of man, or you can be the son or daughter of God. That's up to you. Where are you coming from? Are you coming from your upper 4 energy centers? Or are you entirely consumed by your bottom 3? Only you know that. This lesson is so important, because of the Masters, the universal law, I should say. That of which you contemplate expands. Well, why not contemplate freedom? Think about that. Freedom. Freedom from whatever's holding you back. Why don't you contemplate being the genie so you could create? Why don't you do this? So, the question always is, I ask people, what are you thinking? And by the time they tell me, I say to them, look, I wish you enough. When you had enough, then I can teach you. When you've had enough of the disappointments of your past, when you've had enough of people, places, things, times, events, and you want to go to core, this is a core value. This is a core truth. Right. You must be able to access love increasingly more on the planet. So what holds you back? It's the fact that you're upset with something in the illusion. Upset, look at that word. If I turn it around, what if I told you where you're upset is a setup? So just switch the words. You're being set up. You don't realize it, but you're being set up when you're being upset. You need to let your aggravations become your inspirations, and if you don't get that, it's a life of hell, especially if I'm teaching you. Because if I'm teaching you, you have a higher bar. If you could see your energy body around you, you'd see these black spots. And this is where you're upset, or you have a bent. You're bent about something from a previous life or this life, or because you can't become bent from ancestral heritage too, They're called generational traumas. Yes, that's right. The load of the long-term memories from the past and with their emotions, and you keep them. A lot of people want to keep them because it's their justification for them not living their dream. That's how they excuse not living their dream. Because of this. And so if I do a private consulting, I say, why aren't you living the dream? Well, this. Are you bigger than this? Or are you going to stay here? How long is it going to be before you get past this? Is it going to be 1 year? Is it going to be 1 lifetime? Is it going to be lifetimes? Or is it going to be 1 month, 1 week, 1 day? No. It's up to you. It's up to you. But remember, those who don't get past their past. Those who don't get past their past. They PASS. Are you big enough now with this spiritual knowledge to get past it? You want to know how you get the muscle? Get up early in the morning. Go fill your beingness with nature. Go out. Be uncomfortable. Be inconvenient. Go. Be uncomfortable and inconvenient until it's not. And you're going to convert those deep neural nets. Just think of the love that you have access to. See that sky? Imagine you having access. Imagine this planet, this ball, floating in space, surrounded by blue, ultraviolet blue, which is love. Space is love. Love is space. Right. You're surrounded by it. We're all surrounded by it. But we don't connect with it. Right. Love is in this world, but it's not of this world. It's in this world, but it's not of it. It's much bigger than this world. It surrounds all the planets. It surrounds all the universes. It does. That's who you are. If you focus on what's wrong, you're like a beggar on a beach of gold. That's what you are. Because that of which you contemplate expands, and you've contemplated on things that are just wrong. And it upsets you, and you can't enjoy life that way. The idea is to realize that we're all here on the planet at this time to become optimized. You chose this life and this time of life. And now your challenge is every time we think about or act out the past or trauma, consciously or unconsciously, you're putting yourself in jail. You're producing the same chemistry in the brain and the body as if that memory is happening again and again and again, and it deepens the neural net of the past in your brain and in your body. You're going to have to break the cycle. How do you break the cycle? Go out in nature. Practice the S treatment. Sitting still, silently at sunrise, sunset. Right. Get the lesson. Lose the emotion. You need to understand, you got to get the lesson. Lose the emotion. Get past it. Get free. Why do you need free? Because creation comes from freedom. Creation comes from freedom. It's a universal law. You have to get free of what's bugging you. You have to be in gratitude. Everything that has happened for you, not to you. Be thankful. You had to find out who you are by who you're not. That's right. You have to find out who you are in life by who you're not. But don't get caught there. It doesn't matter about the past. Let's take a look at your lifeline. For as ever old as you are, let's say, draw it on a line. Let's just say that you got a shorter amount of line in front of you than behind you, statistically. And most people I teach, that's the truth. And I'm going to say, what are you going to do? You're going to waste your future line based on something that's happened to you in the past. Get the lesson. Lose the emotion. Move on. Move on. You got to understand that, the child is in delta brain waves with its eyes open and it's taking everything in the subconscious, up till the age of 2. It's in delta brain, real deep. It's super conscious. Then from 2 till age 6, they go on to theta, which is the brainwave above that. And life is still going into the deep impressions into their subconscious, And then they go up to alpha and beta about age 9. Now, the serious impressions that are made along the way, quite often they can become traumas because they were wide open in consciousness. The idea is, as an adult, is to get all the way back down to, there's different brainwaves. There's beta, alpha, theta, delta, and then gamma. Down here, real deep. That's why Jesus said you must become like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven, because that's where your power is. But in order to get down here in the deeper brainwaves, that's where you must understand that your divinity is in your tranquility. Yeah, that's where you have to understand that. So you know what? Be the observer. Observe the way that you are, the way that you've been thinking. Create a new life now. Decide that you're going to review this teaching ad nauseum. Decide that you're going to do it. Decide you're going to brainwash yourself. And I remember my teacher, he said to me, "Why are you so defensive? Why are you so afraid?" And I said, "Well, I'm afraid you're going to brainwash me." He said, "I am going to brainwash you. I got to take your brain out, put it on a scrub board, and do this to it, scrub it, so that I can put it back in so that you can look at life new again, because you're so polluted. You're so jaundiced. I said, you're right. I said, but then I'd be afraid you're going to take advantage of me. And he said, you know what he said? We laughed. You have nothing that I want. Why would I take advantage of you? That's the human in you. You're so defensive. You're so fickle. I said, oh my God. I needed to say, Zela, he's right. Wow. I realized that with a teacher, he taught me that, smart people do. They learn from their mistakes. You want to know what geniuses do? They learn from other people's mistakes. I mean, how long would it take you to create the wheel, fire? How long would it take you to create electricity? How long would it take you to create the media, the computer, the thing you're listening to me on here? You need to give thanks for all those things, but not let them own you. That's what you need to do. Do you realize you can't have joy unless you're in gratitude? That's something to think about, You can't really be happy unless you have gratitude. Give thanks for the things that you do have in your life. Look at the tests that are in front of you right now. The test that means you have no patience or you're filled with judgment of that person or situation. You're taking up time and space where you could be creating your way out. You need to get a breath of fresh air with presence. Presence that's above just the illusion. This teaching is like water in the middle of the desert. It's like oxygen for the soul right here. And if you get it, you're going to go, I need to brainwash myself with this specific teaching. I need more of this. And you'll know in your soul, if you're listening to this, you'll know you've been asking for this to clear the confusion. And as you do that, you go back to spinning the energy like I teach around your body, like you were when you were a kid. From the time that you were 1 minute old to the time you were 18 years old, the body was going up, but it wasn't going old. Right. That type of spin around your body gets lost when you get into the second phase of the illusion, because in the illusion, everything is perfect. I mean, if you were my child, if I could birth a child now, I would say to that child right from day one, repeat after me. The inside world is more important than the outside world of man-made stuff. Never forget this. The inside world is more important than the outside world of man-made stuff. And if you lose that, my child, you will lose your way. You will lose your way. And the world is filled with people who have lost their way. Very few people can teach this teaching. You know why? Because they don't know it. They don't know it. In order to know it and capture it, you have to live it. So you see this? I'm teaching you this. You hear me, but if you want to keep it, you have to realize the truth is, it's like gasoline on a hot summer pavement road. If you're going to capture it, if you don't capture it, then what happens is that it evaporates. It's vaporous. It's a volatile. It'll just go away. This teaching will just go away if you don't live it. If you don't review your notes here. If you don't decide, hey, this is what I've been asking for. This is what I've been asking for. And so I say to you, this is your turn. This is your turn. This is your life. How many times will you review this teaching? How many? Will you just let it go by the wayside? You know, chances are you've been asking for help. Chances are you've been saying, what do I need to do to break through this insanity? Well, here's what you got to do. You got to realize your divinity is in your tranquility. You got to get calm. You got to get out to nature and say, I'm going to put spirit first every morning. You bet I am. Because this makes the most sense to me. This is what I've been asking. And I just know this is the truth. And when you get the truth, you know, you have to realize it needs very little explanation. Because it just, you identify with it with your heart and soul. And you go, yeah. Oh, that's what I did. I remember my teacher taught me. He always knew the perfect thing to teach me every time. He taught me the perfect thing, always. And I go, I don't know how that's possible. Well, I found out how it was possible. And I'm here. You know, I've been teaching for 23 years, very quietly. A lot of people have said, Zela, you're the best kept secret in North America. And I say, yeah, well, it's only been a couple of years since I put my picture actually on the website at the CFT.ca. And I'm here to tell you, I give my best to you. But you have to realize if you're going to capture it and keep it, you have to contemplate it. You have to live it. You have to love you. You have to love yourself. You have to make time for yourself. Because I'm telling you, the next 10 or 20 years is going to go by faster than the last 10 or 20 years. And before you know it, you're winging yourself back. You're way back to the other half of the sky going, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Darn. So you know what? You need to get above the shit. Shit stands for spiritually harmonizing intelligent truth. You need to get ahead. I mean, the shit is provided by the universe for you. It's provided by the universe for you at an unending pipeline. And people say, this is shit. And I go, yeah, it is shit. Is the universe trying to tell you something? Spiritually harmonizing intelligent truth. How much shit have you missed in your life so it keeps reoccurring? Exactly. And so at the end of every teaching, you know, I state that I am Zela, an enlightened one, a dawn into this age. I speak through the ignorance of my human and yet with the divine brilliance of everything that I am. This is the Father, the Mother, the Spirit within me that doeth the works, because I, by my human, could not even speak nor even breathe. I thank you for your presence this day. God bless us all as we go this way.